everybody. Oh my goodness. Like I've gone live before, but today was difficult. The chat thing was in my way. Anyways, I'm here now. Awesome. Everybody's doing good today. And yeah, so today we have a YouTube live and we are answering all of the questions off of the Patreon group. So remember, guys, that this is a question and answer for general law of attraction questions, and all the questions are posted on the Patreon group. So if you do want to ask a question, we do this every week. So, definitely join us in the Patreon group to ask your general questions. So it's not a, I don't give advice or, coaching or, help you find your blocks. That's definitely coaching. This is just strictly general law of attraction question and answers. Okay. So, general questions. Okay. So not about your specific situation. So, I will actually put the link to sign up on the Patreon in the chat, so you guys can come check it out if you would like to join us there. Okay. Hello, everybody. So let's dive straight into the questions. By the way, we actually do these every single week. So if you want to join us, then definitely check out that link. Okay. And then I think once a month I actually post it and on the channel in general. So yeah. So the first question that we're going to be starting off with today is, let's take a look here, is Monica's question. So Monica's question, we're answering it at 1 minute and 40 seconds. So let me see here. 1 minute, 40 seconds. I answered your question. So her question is, how to manage a specific amount, please? Now I'm going to assume it's a specific amount of money. That's what I'm going to assume. So how you would manifest a specific amount of money is you would just declare, this is how much money I want to make. So, I make goals for money every year. So I say I intend for this much to be made, in general in a year. And then I break it down. So how it's going to be made from each particular, business that I have or income stream that I have as well. And then I'll make, specific intentions for each of those things. Okay. So for instance, one of them is stocks. Okay. So I make, this amount for the year, and then I make that much is going to come from the stocks. And then from the stocks, I say, okay, stories. Okay. So, if you say, look, you declare that you're going to make, win $1,000 from the lottery, or let's say $1 million from the lottery, then you're going to have to make sure that you've got, zero, very little to zero negative self-talk about winning the lottery. Okay. So, a statement like, well, I'll never win. Well, that's going to block, that intention of 1 million or $1 billion coming through the lottery. So, if you do have a general, this is what I want to create, you've got to make sure that you've got zero money anxiety or zero anxiety when you think about bills or panic or anything like that. Okay. So basically you've got to make sure that every thought about money is in line and supporting your main intention, your main goal. Okay. And yeah, so that's that's how you would build it. How you would manifest a specific amount of money. You can even go like, I don't care where it comes from. I'm just going to have $1 million in the bank this year. Okay. But then again, you know what? You have to reaffirm that all year long, especially say you're thinking about, say, I don't know, a bill coming up next month, if you're going to have anxiety about it, then that could possibly block that billion. So you want to make sure that you're constantly reaffirming your story that it's going to happen. Okay. So we've got Danielle's question at 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I answered your question. Okay, so I was just wondering your thoughts and opinions on dreams. Yay! I was actually going to do a video on this. For a couple of nights now, I've had dreams about me and my specific person that were back together. But the dreams seem very real and vivid. And once I've woken up, it's as if they actually happened. Okay, so is this the end result of me and my SP being back together and locked into my subconscious? And I do think it's a good thing. However, I just want your thoughts on manifestation and dreams. Okay, so dreams are empty and meaningless. You create what kind of dreams that you have. There's been many cases in history where, people have basically had, great inventions and breakthroughs by basically saying, Look at the answer came to me in a dream. I figured out how to make that light bulb in a dream. Oh, you know what? That engine came to me in a dream. Okay. So, I do it too. I say every night before I go to bed, I say, look, I'm going to have good dreams tonight. I'm going to feel good. And you know what? I'm going to have a really good idea for a video. Okay. And when I wake up, I'm going to dream about it. And I'm going to wake up, I'm going to have it. So, basically, right, dreams don't mean anything. You can make them mean something. But no, you know what? To be honest, I've had many dreams where I've woken up and I've had a dream that Andrew's like left me, and then I've woken up all like, a little bit like, and like honestly, me and Andrew have zero problems in our relationship, and he's never broken up with me. So dreams don't mean anything; they're only what you make them mean. If you want to make that good dream mean that it's happening, great. But does it mean that? No. Does it mean if you have a dream of you guys breaking up that it's going to happen? No, not at all. Your dreams are what you make them. Some people create that they have a bad dream when they eat chicken, and then they have nightmares. Okay, fine. Right? So your dreams are whatever you choose to make them. They're not basically a window into your subconscious mind. If you really want to know what's programmed subconscious mind, the one thing that you want to do is take a look at your 3D reality. What's showing up? That's what's actually programmed into your subconscious mind. Okay. What's programmed into your subconscious mind is not hidden from you throughout the day. It's actually right in front of you. Everything that you see in your reality is actually programmed into your subconscious mind. So how is that person treating you? Or do they want to be with you or not? Whatever they're showing up as is what's actually programmed in your subconscious mind. And if you don't like it, you acknowledge it, renounce it with an intention. Okay. So let's say, for instance, Gerry only calls me like once a week. Okay. So that's what's programmed into my subconscious mind is he just calls me once a week. Do I make that intention? And then that once you make that intention enough and mold and change enough of that story, that's going to reprogram your subconscious mind. And once it's programmed in, boom, Gerry's going to actually show up. So once something's programmed into your subconscious mind, it'll instantly show up in your reality, your 3D reality. Okay. So you want to know what's programmed into your subconscious mind? Take a look at what your reality is. I remember, and I've mentioned this in videos before, years ago, I created when it was sunny outside that nobody knew how to drive. Okay. I'm not kidding you. For 20 years, right, when it's sunny out, I'm driving and we're swearing at traffic. Okay. And and here's me, right? I'm like, nobody knows how to drive when it's sunny outside, right? And it was like for 20 years, this kept going on, right? And finally one day I was like, oh yeah, I totally created that. So then all I said was, no, I intend for people to even drive even better when it's sunny outside. Now everybody drives just fine. So that was programmed into my subconscious mind. And I knew about it because it was showing up, right? So take a look at what your 3D reality is showing you. That's what's showing up. Like every day that you wake up, your house, your bed, your computer, your office, your workbench, it's all programmed into your subconscious mind. And it runs on autopilot and it's right where you left it every day. The reason for this is so you don't have to recreate who you are, house in your life every single day. It's programmed into your subconscious mind. As soon as you take your fridge or your couch, let's say your couch in your living room, and you move it, now actually moved it, the new location is programmed into your subconscious mind. Okay. So then the next time you walk into the living room, boom, it's there. You're like, oh yeah, moved. It's still great. But the only time it really is programmed in is boom, when it shows up in your 3D reality. That means it's actually locked in because that's when the connection happens. And that's when it shows up in your 3D reality. Sense with everything. Yes, we are all in a dream now, aren't we? It's a waking dream. Not, is there an assumption you have? I've got a lot of assumptions. That if you can't figure out what your block is, that you can say to yourself. So like, this relationship is perfectly unfolding for me in the best way possible, or a relationship is better than it was before and better than I could ever imagine. Also, I want my man to be more vocal about how he feels. Is there something easier to say than he loves me and always tells me this, etc.? I just can't think. He always tells me how he feels towards me, and how am I his one and only? Do I have to assume he tells me this and he feels this way? Does my brain already know that he thinks this and he also tells me? So, basically, you have to listen to your thoughts. And once you start listening to your thoughts and directing, you'll start to hear the thoughts that aren't helping you. Okay, so many people, when they actually get serious about doing a mental diet, they say, wow, you know what, I can't believe how much, negative thought that I had that I wasn't even catching. And it's true, but it almost just drones on in the back because you're so used to it, right? But as soon as you start to interrupt it and make declarations for what you want, then, all of that sort of starts to surface up to the top. Okay. So, yeah, so basically, right, what you want to do is you always want to make sure that you're on top of your thoughts and you're always creating the person to be the way that you want them to be. And if they're not the way that you want them to be, then what you have to do is declare this is the way that they are. And you have to declare it with a repeated, a persistent assumption until they show up that way. Okay, so, do you always have to assume that he feels that way about you? Well, as long as you want him to do it, absolutely. Okay. So yeah, so there's the the answer to your question there. But you can do general, intentions, but you also have to do specific ones to sort of get rid of any sort of, basically if you say, well, he never wants to talk to me again, but then, or he'll never date me again, right? But you say, oh, well, he talks to me every day. He'll talk to you every day, but he's not. And that's how we get partial manifestations is, we're doing let's say we've got a story that somebody's rejecting us. If we start doing intentions, we'll see their name everywhere. In fact, we'll see other people with the same name, but that specific person won't show up. Do you know why? Because you've got a story that they're rejecting you. Okay, so thoughts are things, and you've got to be specific about what you're actually creating, as well as do those general intentions. Okay, especially when you're shifting an entire story. If you don't have resistance to anything, like any specific person, then yeah, you can just do general ones and they'll show up. But when you've got resistance with a specific person, then you have to specifically change that story over in as much detail as possible. Okay, so guys, so 12 minutes and 49 seconds here. So 12 minutes and 49 seconds for Selena's question. Let's take a look. So Selena's question is, how do I set intentions to remove the guilt I've placed on my specific person because of the breakup? Okay, so it's revision. What you want to do is revision here. Okay. You want to change the way that you're looking at the breakup. So I'll post, Selena, the video for revision in the notes here for you so you can see it, because that's what where you're looking at doing is revising the situation, the breakup, right? Basically, again, though, I mean, you create everything in your reality. So I mean, you can create the story that there's guilt, or you can create the story that everybody's over it and everybody forgives each other. I mean, that's completely up to you, right? So again, though, we only do, general law of attraction question and answer during this time. So if you do need help with revising or any intentions or framing the intentions for your specific situation, then you may want to check out with the coaching. Okay. So, so the other question that she has, which I think is very important, is what's coming from lack. Okay, so there's no really such thing as coming from lack. It's about either focusing on lack or focusing on what you want. Okay, so any intention that's focused on what you want is basically focusing on what you want. Anything focusing, like if you're focusing on lack, so then what you're looking at and dwelling on is everything that you don't have. Okay. So if you say a statement like, you know what, Gerry loves me and wants to be with me, that's not focusing on lack. That's focusing on what you want. Okay. You always want to focus on what you want. And in fact, that's statement makes me feel good. Now, if I say, well, look at, you know what, Gerry wants nothing to do with me. What am I going to do to change this? That's focusing on lack now. Okay. So there is no really such thing as coming from lack. We're always coming from lack. If you decide that you want to, manifest $1 million, well, you don't have $1 million now. So what, are we saying that you intend to have $1 million is from lack? Well, everybody creates from lack. We create from nothing. We're creators. So we always create from nothing, because if you had it, you wouldn't create it, right? So there's really no such thing as creating from lack. There is such a thing as focusing on lack, being attached to what you want, and, instead of, focusing on what you want and being committed to your action or your result. Okay. So take a look. Okay. So all of your intentions you wrote there are totally fine. Yeah, like they're totally fine. So, but to be mad at me, because what you're really saying is I want him to be mad, right? Because your brain, your subconscious mind constantly sees in pictures and visualizations. So if you say, well, I don't want him to be mad, you're actually creating an image in your subconscious mind of him being mad because the word don't doesn't have an image that relates to it, right? So if I said to everybody right now, don't think of a blue duck, you guys automatically thought of a duck. Maybe it wasn't blue, maybe it had yellow bill, maybe it was purple, maybe somebody's was green, maybe it was multicolored rainbow, but it doesn't matter. You still had to picture a duck, okay? So you always want to focus on what you want, not what you don't want, okay? So it's as long as you're focusing on what you want, then you're focusing and you're doing it right. If you're focusing on everything, you don't want him to reject me, well, now you're focusing on everything that you don't want and you're focusing on lack, okay? So I intend that answers your question. So let's take a look. 16 minutes and 50 seconds. 16 minutes and 50 seconds is I'm answering the next question. So, hey, Amanda, are there any techniques and tensions I can remove blocks that I think I still have from childhood, especially when it comes to manifesting a relationship? So techniques and intentions that you can use to basically remove blocks are, basically a mental diet, changing your belief through creating new scenarios. And you can also do revision as well. And also, changing your perspective of the situation and the events that may have happened in your past, which is again revision. Okay, so those are things that you can do, to change things that have happened in your past. Okay. Yeah, and then you've got a little bit of yeah. So then you've got a little bit of story there about what it is, but to really, we do need to sit down and chat with you if you would like our help to help you revise your past, things in your childhood as well, any beliefs that you have. But revision would be the way to do it. And really asking yourself, like, is what you thought or believed earlier really true? I mean, that's always good to sit down and sort that out. Okay. So those are the techniques I would use, right? And if you'd like help with that, then we're more than happy to help. Okay. So 18 minutes and 30 seconds for the next question. So 18 minutes and 30 seconds. And remember, guys, just if you're joining us now, all these questions are on the Patreon group. I put the link in the chat, as well as remember that these are general law of attraction questions. This isn't coaching or giving advice on your situation or helping you find your blocks. It's just general law of attraction questions that we answer on this with weekly YouTube lives. So yeah, definitely join the Patreon group and come join us. We do this every week. We've got XO's question. So, hey Amanda, I love your videos. You always give me hope whenever I feel down, and I learn a lot by you. By watching your videos and doing some coaching, I was able to eliminate third party and manifest a message from my ex. Yes, love it. I would probably say, if I had a guess, I think you do coaching with Denise, actually. Denise is really good at everyone as you pushed out stuff, as all the coaches are, actually. All the coaches are amazing, actually. Really, all of them are really, really, really good. So yeah, you know what? They really help to, identify your blocks and to help you revise your story, personalized for you to make changes quick. Because really, guys, that's what the name of the game is here, is finding out what your blocks are, And sometimes when you tell someone else a story, they're like, oh my goodness, like, wow, really? And then, because they can see your block better than you can because you're in it, So identifying your blocks really speeds this up, okay? My goal for this week, we also have action plans as well. So if you want to know what to do with what, then we actually do that with the coaching as well. Okay. So my goal for this week is to have my ex unblock me. Love it. From Instagram, unfollow random girls on Instagram. Okay. I know I can create my ex to be the person I want him to be. Okay. So where's your question in here? So, okay. So I'm not quite sure what your question is in here. Okay. So, yeah. So, okay, your question is I feel like I say my intention so many times that there's no emotion to it anymore. Okay. So what you want, okay, is you do want your intentions to come from a neutral, natural place, like all of you guys do. Okay. You don't want any emotion behind your your intentions. Because when you, okay, think of it this way, okay, remember something that you went to manifest that you're really excited about. You're really excited the minute you got it, but then a week later you were like, it's just the way it is. I remember I went and manifested this job, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I'm going to come in early every day. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then, like, a month later, I was like, you know what? It's like, whatever. I got the job. So you want to get to that neutral, natural place of, you know what? I've always had this, right? It's no big deal to me. Okay. Because that's where, you're the most powerful. Okay. Because your thoughts create. So your thoughts create your emotions. So if you can talk yourself into the point where it's like, you know what? No big deal. I know it's going to happen. Then you know what? It's going to happen. Okay. Because you don't have any of the other feelings. Okay. So everything, if something's not working for you and you're basically saying your intentions so much, I think maybe we've got to listen to our thoughts a little bit more and really get on top of what other thoughts that we're having, especially if something isn't happening yet. Okay. So, and again, always focus on what you want. Okay. So how do you manifest things faster is, you have 60,000 thoughts a day. We start monitoring them to start checking which one's helping us and which one's blocking us. At any moment of the day, you can have a thought that either blocks something or it gets you closer to it. So for instance, right, like let's say, I want pizza for dinner tonight. And I'm like, I'm not going to want it. Boom, blocked. Right. But then I'm like, so, basically, right? Like you go back, forth, block on block, block, block. Constantly is we want to consistently put as many thoughts as possible over to something. The other thing that I do is I create how I would see, hear, and feel if I had it. So, not only am I going to create he says this, I'm going to create that I feel like this, and I'm going to create that this happens. And then I'm also going to create that he does that. And so start creating all this little bits of evidence in a whole bunch of different areas to sort of start showing you that all of that works as well. Okay. So, it's not just about sticking to a list of one intentions. It's about really expanding and painting a picture with your intentions and your thoughts to have it all in line with that. Right. So it's going to happen as soon as you decide that it's going to happen and you let go of all the thoughts that block it. Okay. And you stop all those thoughts that are going to block it and change them into positive intentions. Right. And the more that we do that and become aware of that, then the quicker it's going to happen. Okay. So we've got a question here, which was left over from last week. What do we got here? Hey, Danny, miss you, girl. 23 minutes and 55 seconds. So 23 minutes and 55 seconds we've got here. So my situation is like, I'm unable to be consistent with my mental diet and go on autopilot mode, not necessarily spiraling on negative thoughts, but just forget making intentions. I make a list of 3 ideal intentions for, the 3 ideals, me, him, and the relationship, which everybody manifesting somebody is recommended to do. And I read it every day. But what else? Like I'm stagnant. Okay, so we've got to keep on top of our thoughts. It's a choice. I mean, it's a choice just to stop yourself. Like, even earlier today, I was kind of having a moment, and for about an hour, I was just like a fried egg all over the place. And finally I said, okay, no, Amanda, let's just get clear. What do you want right now? What do you want? I'm like, just sit down and write down a couple of intentions, get focused, remind yourself, who you are. And, it's a constant reminder, it takes discipline and focus. In fact, Neville, what he actually says in one of his books, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. I know it's in the Complete Reader, but anyways, what he says as a technique is when you are practicing disciplining your mind and being focused is when you lay down at night to go through your day backwards. Okay. So basically it would be like, okay, I left the bathroom after putting my toothbrush away and I laid down. And before that, I brushed my teeth. Before that, I used mouthwash. Before that, I was watching TV. And before that, and you go, okay. And it takes focus, it takes practice, but that's what you want to start doing. And, I do it, I go through it just fine. Or even maybe doing the alphabet backwards. Okay. Anything that actually takes, energy and focus and, kind of starts to work the muscle in your brain, but it's a muscle. So go easy on yourself, and you have to build the muscle. I remember when I first started, like years ago, like I could only stay on a mental diet for maybe like an hour, and then that was it. Now, I mean, I can do the whole entire day, and I'm like, that's it, but it took practice building up to it, right? And, I mean, I'm not going to lie, time I start anything new, especially when I've got previous baggage over it, I have to work through it and get myself out of the way. And, and it's just, it's a matter of, choosing, how easy and how hard you're going to make it on yourself. You can even say things like, well, I intend for mental diet to be easy. I intend, to always be able to make it really, I tend to, always be able to think positive. I intend for a mental diet to be easy. I intend to be very focused and dedicated to staying on top of my thoughts and creating what I want. I always only create things that make me feel good. I mean, you can do all those intentions, to help, because if you say it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard. If you say it's going to be easy, it's going to be easy. If you say you're not sticking to it, then you're not going to stick to it. If you say you're going to stick to it, then you can stick to it. So, make those meta intentions. Okay. So we've got, you know what? I'm going to read this. This isn't really a question, but I'm going to read this. So Danielle posted here, "Hi, Amanda. I realized my block is being afraid of being hurt again." Sure, that's out there with some other people, right? So I would be afraid of this fear that I'm going to be hurt again, as I believe it's the last piece of the puzzle for getting my specific person back for good. Okay. So the thing is, right, is do you have any tips on how to get rid of the fear of abandonment or making yourself believe that you're secure? So without sitting down and chatting with you, I don't know what to, suggest for you, because, again, it's your thoughts creating the fact that you're afraid to be hurt again. And, it's your thoughts creating the fear. So I don't know what thoughts those are. So we would need to sit down and have a conversation with you to be able to create some powerful intentions for you. So, everybody out there, sit down and write down, why are you feeling fear? Why are you scared of being hurt again? And reason those out, take a look at them. Like, are they really true? Are they, things that you're thinking? And if you are looking at those, cross them out and write them into new positive intention and focus on those intentions. Those are going to be the most powerful. But, I mean, yeah. We would need to sit down and chat about, what the fear is, because everybody's got different fears of abandonment. Where did it come from? Why isn't it something that you think is real? There's a lot of questions that we have to be able to help you with that. So, yeah. Well, but that's how you would identify what your blocks are. And I suggest doing a mental diet to get past them, or chatting with somebody where we can help you to create a new story, or at least work through your old story. I would assume that if there was things that have happened in your past that cause you to be afraid of being hurt, then what you're going to want to do is revise situations. So you take the learnings from them and you move on. Okay. So that's sort of what I would suggest there would be, taking the learnings and moving forward. Let's take a look here. Oh, and I did not put the time that I answered that question. That was at about 28 minutes. Right. Let's see. 28 minutes I answered that. Okay. Let's take a look here at the next question. So it's Pat's question, and Pat's question, we're looking at 30-minute mark. So 30-minute mark. We've got Pat's question. So, hey, Amanda, my specific person fell in love with me 3 years ago, but I was still in a relationship. Okay, where's your question? So basically your question is, there is some backstory here. So if you guys want to, read it when you're on the Patreon group, that's great. But there's the question. The question is, can I also make him feel a heal from depression, as everyone as you pushed out, and I can make him commit and love me again? You know what? Absolutely. Because you're creating and projecting on the depression on him. So yes, you can intend that he's over it. You can change, if somebody's depressed, you can change and have someone commit and love you. You can change anything that you think is possible for the other person to do. So if you think it's possible for people to get over and to, overcome depression, then yes, you can intend it. If you think it's possible for people to overcome anxiety, then yes, you can intend it. If you think it's possible for the person to like you, then yes, you can create it. You can create anything you think is possible to create. Okay? You have to believe and think it's possible. Okay? That's the biggest trick to all of this, is thinking it's possible. So go out there, go test out some everyone as you pushed out other people that you don't have quite, an attachment to, or, a closeness with or resistance with. Go out and try it on random people, your friend's friend, from work, and pretend that they're, something, da da da. You hear that they've, overcome their anxiety or something, and then, see if that shows back up to you, right? Do things out there to show yourself how powerful you are. Test it out, test out your powers. It's like, if you ever what happens if you woke up one day and you could fly, and you got out of bed and you noticed you flew a little bit, and you'd be like, oh my goodness, I can fly. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I gotta go test this out. So you'd be in the backyard, doing loop-de-loos around the trees and stuff, right? And waving at the birds, and, sitting in a tree with them, right? So go out and try your power. Be excited about it. Go out and test it, right? Find out how it works for you, and then refine how it works for you. And it's not something to be scared of. It's not something for anything, it's something to go out and test and be excited for. Every day you wake up and I create. What am I going to create for myself today? What am I going to do today? What exciting thing am I going to bring into my reality today, because I deserve it and I'm good enough, rather than being scared of what we're going to create, or scared of what's going to go on out there. There's nothing to be scared of. Everything is you. It's all you. It's your reality. It's your quantum bubble. You make what you want of it in your quantum bubble. Okay, definitely. Yeah. There's my motivational, inspirational pep talk for the day, guys. That's it. Right. Let's see here. So 34 minutes, and we've got Patricia's question. So 34 minutes. 34 minutes. Okay. So Patricia's wants to manifest a famous person. And yeah, it's absolutely possible. As long as you think it's possible to manifest a famous person, then you can manifest a famous person. Okay. So can you manifest them while they're in quarantine, while this quarantine is going on? Absolutely. If you think it's possible, then you think it's possible. You're the creator of your reality. So whatever you think is possible, you can. Well, which one was it? It was Kate. Kate Middleton, right? She actually manifest being with one of the princes or something, and she wasn't even anyone famous or anything like that. She was just like a regular person. And who was the other one with Tom Cruise, that younger girl that wasn't even famous? She was just a regular person, and she ended up with him. So you know what? It's entirely possible, guys. Anything is possible. You can have it play out any way that you absolutely want it, because you're the creator of your reality. So again, though, with Patricia, with your intentions, what are the best ones? The best ones are to start with declaring what you want, and then also to follow up and make sure that you're making intentions that directly counter your doubts, because those are the most powerful ones. Okay. So yeah, it's absolutely possible. And yeah. So a good way of going about it is painting a picture, script it out, write out, everybody write out how you want your day to go. I once knew this person, and they were really good at manifesting. And what they did was they basically scripted out every single one of their days. Yeah, it's crazy, and their day pretty much came true the way they scripted it. So, start looking at, there's one NLP technique where it has you basically look at your life like you're the writer of it. And you really are. So, and you visualize yourself writing your day out, So yeah, start scripting your day. How do you want things to go? How do you want it to go with the person you want to meet? How do you want, your day to go with your specific person? The more you reaffirm what you want to happen, the more you bring in all the pieces together for it to actually happen, right? Excellent question. So we have 135, we'll say 36 minutes, okay? So 36 minutes, we have Natalia's question, Natalia, I think, sorry, Natalia. So I have a question about resistance, okay? So my question is, how do we find the right balance between allowing the fears to come up so we can process them while staying on our mental diet? Okay, I read that we can self-sabotage ourselves when we fear of loss is bigger than our desire for gain. Mm. Sometimes I wonder, okay, so if I'm releasing resistance by letting old painful feelings resurface, or if I'm reinforcing some old stories which keep me stuck in the predictable past. So how you release resistance is you basically transmute it into, or you renounce it into a positive intention. How you release resistance is you take a look at a situation and you ask yourself, is that really true? So here's a really good example of that. Back when I was taking NLP, they showed a picture, okay, and it was this woman, okay, an old woman with this bag, and there was this guy like knocking her over. And when you look at the picture, you're like, oh my goodness, he's robbing her. This is terrible. Okay, but then the next scene they show you, the next picture they show you is the same picture of that old woman getting knocked over by this guy. But then all of a sudden they open it up and you see above them that it is actually a construction zone. And there's a bunch of bricks that are about to fall on the woman. And the guy's actually saving her life. Okay, so that's how you release resistance, is revise it. You change your perception on the situation, and then you no longer have resistance. Okay, so the thing is, right, is if you're resurfacing it, if it comes up, okay, so let's say right now, you know what, I'm sitting here and Gerry is like, getting annoyed at me. Okay, now, and he's not talking to me. Okay, so I can think right away, oh my goodness, you know what? Gerry is totally like ignoring me and he's rejecting me, okay, and he's mad at me. Okay, now if I want Gerry to be with me and love me, that thought is resistance. I've just created resistance. Now, if I was to say, okay, you know what? No, Gerry's not feeling good. He's under a lot of stress and he's just having a bad day. Like, it's no big deal. He'll call me later. Now, all of a sudden, that statement now, okay, doesn't give me any resistance because I've now said, okay, his behavior isn't related to me. I'm not taking it personally. And you know what? He'll be over it and he'll call me later. This still gets me into my goal of Gerry loving me. Okay. So how you release resistance is you start changing your perception of the situation that you have. Okay. Nobody can ignore you if you never accuse anybody of ignoring you. Nobody can reject you if you don't accuse them of rejecting you. Okay. So if you want someone to be with you and you accuse them of rejecting you, you're creating resistance right then and there. Okay. If you decide to say to yourself, oh, that's it, Gerry's rejecting me, but then all of a sudden you say, oh, I'm not going to be silly. Of course he's not rejecting me. He's just busy right now. And then he'll come back and now all of a sudden by me saying, no, he's not rejecting me. He's just busy right now. He'll call me later. I've now released the resistance. Okay. So your thoughts either create resistance or they create, they create you in alignment with what you want. Okay. So there is no there's the resistance to release is the resistance that you're creating yourself with your stories. Okay. So if you've got past stories that are creating and blocking you from getting what you want, then you need to change your perception of those stories or revise them so they no longer are hurting you. Okay. So, if you're going to bring up the past, okay, and dwell on it, then what you're doing is you're actually creating more of that and you're just reinforcing that old story. Okay. At some point, you have to look at, you know what? I'm the creator of my reality. Like, I get it. Gerry dumped me. I created that. Like, I know how I created it. I created it with my insecurities. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let go of the past. I'm going to start fresh right now. I'm going to forgive me. I'm going to move on and then work through your story to get to that point. Now, it's fine if, it comes up where you're like, oh, you know what? That's it. Gerry's rejecting me. Gerry's totally ignoring me. No, he's not ignoring me. He does want to be with me. He's just busy right now. He'll call me later. Boom. You've just gotten rid of the resistance. You resist it the minute you said, no, that's a silly story. He's not ignoring me. He does want to talk to me. That was the moment the resistance got released. So the question is, right, are your thoughts creating resistance or are your thoughts putting you in alignment with what you want? Okay. So that's what you want to take a look at. Okay. Changing your perspective on the situations and changing the way that you're looking at it as to not give you resistance. Because there's always a million ways to look at this person, right? But then all of a sudden I was like, oh, Amanda, come on, stop it. Your thoughts create. You know what? He wouldn't have asked you out here if he didn't want to be with you. I'm like, oh, you know what? He's probably just hungry or something. And then sure enough, you know what, a second later, he's like, I'm sorry for being crabby, I'm just hungry. And I was like, oh my goodness, right? Like, I mean, my assumption in that moment totally created what ended up happening. And so be in alignment with what you want. The choice is yours. Okay. So I hope that helps with understanding, releasing resistance and resistance. Okay. Resistance is thoughts, and they're thoughts that block you from getting what you want. Okay. So we've got Courtney's question, and this is a really, really, really a good question here. We've got is one second here. Okay, so we've got Courtney's question, and at Courtney's question, we have it at 43 minutes. So how to make intentions from the end, okay? So when, you know, and so basically what you want to do when you make intentions from the end is you want to take a look at your situation, okay? And you want to fast forward, okay? So let's go 6 months from now. So you want to look back and say, look, if I had what I want, okay, what would my thoughts be? Okay. So when you take a look and you look back at your life and you say, okay, so if I already have our thoughts in line with what we actually want. So let's say, for instance, me and Gerry want to get into a relationship. Okay. And Gerry, right now, we're just dating, we're friends with benefits. Okay. So right now, labeling my situation with Gerry as friends with benefits is not living from the end of being in a relationship with him at all. Because if I was with him, I wouldn't be calling our situation a friends with benefits. I would be saying that, yeah, you know what? Of course we're getting together. Of course we're going to be in a relationship. Okay. So you want to take a look and make sure that you're thinking and you're labeling and you're assuming about your current situation is going to be in line with what you would want to create in living from the end. Okay. So, you know, another way to look at it is think of it telling the story to somebody. Okay. So, like a year from now, you're sitting around telling, you know, your best friend the story about how you two got together. Oh, yeah. You know what? We totally met, you know, and then we started dating, and then, you know, we started seeing each other every day, and then eventually moved in together. So, that's how you also live from the end, right? Like, for instance, if you were, say, you're looking to manifest an ex back, you know, and you're telling your friend after you guys got together, your story would be, oh yeah, you know what, we had this fight, but you know what, he totally forgives me because he always forgives me. I can never do any wrong. We totally got back together. Like, we're totally over it. Like, that would be your story after you got back together. So if you're trying to manifest an ex, you've got to start making that your story right now, regardless of what's going on. Even if you said, like, to you yesterday, I'm never talking to you again. You got to say, look at it. No, people say things. He didn't mean it. Not at all. We're getting back together because he's going to forgive me. Okay. So that's basically what we're looking at going for, okay, when we are living from the end, okay? So at 45, 12, 18. So, so she has a question, she or he, I think it's she. Piper has a question about gratitude and where our thoughts should be when we're feeling thankful. Is it better to be thankful for what you have now or to be thankful about the potential now that we're currently creating? Both. Be thankful for what you have now and then start throwing things in there, thankful for what you actually want to create. You know, so I'd say put them both in there. Be thankful for everything because everything's already done and it's done as long as you're willing to see it. So basically saying, look at, you know what, I'm thankful for having my 50th wedding anniversary with Gerry. Great. Even though it hasn't happened yet, it's still 50 years off. Oh, well, start creating it now. Start being thankful for it now. Thankful that you already have it. Okay. Because once you decide and declare that you have it, that's when it shows up in your reality. Okay. So do both. Do both. And thank you. Oh, I'm glad my videos have helped you. Okay. So, yeah. Let's take a look here. So, yeah. So, you know, especially gratitude for future things is also good. But do both. Do what you have now and for future things. Okay. And, you know, if you are having, you know, basically, you feel like, you know, expressing gratitude for future things isn't, you know, basically appreciating what you have now, that's a complete story that you're making, like that you're creating. So you might want to go through and maybe take a look and see why you think that, like, what are the thoughts and that are creating that. Like, that's a belief that maybe you have, but I mean, I don't share that belief, so I don't know what thoughts would be behind that. I mean, none of this is even real anyway. And it's like, whether you're thankful or you create an intention, they're the same things. So if you have for things that haven't happened yet, well, then just intend for the things that haven't happened yet. But I mean, it's a story that you've got, that there's some reason you're telling yourself that by being grateful for future things that you don't have necessarily correlated, but if it doesn't feel good to you, then do intentions instead, right? So again, though, if you would like help with actually, navigating, how is and techniques that are going to be good, feel good for you to create, then definitely check out our coaching. We'll sit down one-on-one with you and help you to sort that out. Because universe, look at some people, they can do SATs. They love it. Some people don't. I do SAT. I used to do SATs. I don't anymore. And I create just fine. So, it's all about creating and, learning how you create and doing it so it feels good for you. And and if you do have questions about what is going to be good for you and not good for you, then and what techniques you could use, then definitely check out the coaching and we can help you navigate that for sure. Okay. Or if you want to be thankful for future things and you're not sure why you're not, then we can also help you navigate that story as well. But there's some story and belief that you have there, that doesn't necessarily need to be there. But I mean, if you don't want to break down that story, then instead of being thankful for things that haven't happened, then create intentions. It's the same thing. You're still focusing on what you want. Okay. So 15 minutes in, we've got Jade's question. Let's take a look here. So we've got here, how do you balance living from the end with your personal standards for how people treat you? Okay, excellent question. So you can't, you rate with this question, okay, is you create how you view somebody else's behavior. Okay, so I'm going to use this as an example. So the example is, okay, is if you're in, okay, let's say you've got friends with benefits with somebody, okay? So me and Gerry are in friends with benefit situation, okay? And I want Gerry to commit to me and chase me, okay? Now I can basically say that, you know what, Gerry's not treating me very well. He's, totally disrespecting me, and you know what, he's not treating me the way that I want to be treated, and I deserve better. Okay, so then I'm living from the end of rejection. Okay, so now, how do you live from the end? Okay, as easily you say, well, we're friends with benefits. That's because you know what, Gerry is, we are going to be in a relationship. He is going to be chasing me. That's what's going to be happening here. He just needs a little bit of time because he's got baggage, but he's over it and it's going to happen. Okay, so living from the end is assuming that you are getting what you want. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier of, like, let's say Gerry doesn't call me for a week. Do I assume that he's rejecting me and ignoring me? That's living from the end of rejection. But if I stop taking it personally and I say, no, you know what, he just had a busy week, a rough week. I intend for him to get over it, and I intend for him to be every day. Now I'm living from the end of getting what I want. Okay, so you are living from the end if you're intending that your personal standards are there. If you say, look, I've got boundaries, I've got ways that I intend to be treated, and you start assuming that people are going to treat you that way, and then you ignore your reality until that shows up, then you are living from the end. Living from the end and then identifying that, basically what I'm saying is you can't live in both. And your thing is, okay, how do I live from the end and then still have someone treat me like, garbage? Well, that's impossible, because if you're assuming that they're treating you like garbage, then you're living from the end of rejection. Okay. So you've got to create, and you've got to basically, identify or label their behavior as something else. Okay. So for instance, a good example is, saying that, okay, so Gerry doesn't, he doesn't call me for a week. Okay. Now I can assume that he's rejecting and ignoring me. Now that is living from the end of rejection. That is not living from the end of being in a committed relationship. Okay. But if I say, no, Gerry loves me, wants to be with me, and he's just had a bad week, he was really busy and he was working long hours, and then start intending he's going to call me, that's now living from the end of being in a committed relationship. Okay. So do you see where the shift needs to happen? Like, I get what your question is, but you've got to start, making everything he does mean that he's chasing you or she. Like, if you want long, meaningful conversations and all you're getting is one word answers, you got to assume that that's a meaningful conversation. And, because if we're resisting and we say, oh, look at, what, he's ignoring me, I've got to change that. He's ignoring me, I got to change that. No, what we need to do is stop labeling his behavior as ignoring you. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So your personal situation, I'm not sure exactly what what the story is here, and what we're creating, but is there a way that you can explain their behavior in a way that makes the assumption that is in line with your end results? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going for here. Okay. So I intend that actually helps you, Jade. And thank you. That's manifestation teacher on YouTube. Look at, I intend that I am. Why not? Right? Guys, I speak from experience. I've done this in my life. I've gotten over some of the biggest hurdles. Like, I mean, anyone knows me from the beginning of my channel, or at least from a year ago, 2 years ago, know the struggle I had with my relationship. I talked about it in older videos. The struggle I had, for building a business. And a lot of you guys have seen me from, 400 subscribers until now, and yeah, it's something that, I've lived this, I do this, and it's not something that, I listen to other people and then, repeat what they say. No, I speak from experience, and I'm not scared to say things are a way that they are, because again, it's from experience. I know they work. I know what works and what doesn't work. So thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. So 54 minutes, 54 minutes. So we've got Scarlett's question at 54 minutes. Scarlett's question. So what happens if I react negatively to my 3D world for one day after having a strict mental diet? Like, I cried and all. Will that negative reaction manifest even though right after I continued my mental diet? You know what? I mean, it depends. I mean, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, it really just depends on how dominant those thoughts are. I mean, like I said, right now, for instance, with Andrew, like, we've been together for a long time and we have a great relationship. If I said right now he wants to leave me, then like, trust me, that isn't going to manifest. Like, that one thought is not going to do anything. I've crystallized our relationship being amazing for so long that's like, that one little thought's gonna have no power. And it's like, whatever. So it depends. It really just depends. I mean, let's not focus on worrying about whether or not our negative thoughts are going to show up or not. Okay, let's just focus on what we want. And if we have a moment where we have some negative thoughts, we cry and we let out some frustration or whatever, then that's fine. Let's just dust ourselves off and get back to what we're doing and get back to focusing on what we want. And then if it does show up, like, oh wow, look at it and go, okay, no big deal. Obviously, this is still working, and take it as a sign of how to create. Like, take a look, and use it as a learning tool. Like, wow, why, take a look and see when it shows up. And if it does, I mean, but if you're going to dwell and worry about it showing up, you're just giving it more power to show up, because again, we're focusing on it. Let's stop focusing on it. Let's focus on what we want. It may show up, it may not. I can't tell you if it will or not, because there's too many intricate factors here. How long are you dwelling on it? How much do you believe those thoughts? I mean, were those thoughts really based in anything? Do you have a strong belief with them? Like, how solid is the other story? There's so many factors that are involved here. You're the only one that can answer that. So I would start saying, no, that's not going to manifest. My reality is going to manifest the one that I want. Okay. Yeah. Please, guys, never beat yourself up for having negative thoughts, and never worry about them showing up. Just move on. Okay. It's like, it's no big deal. Just, pick up where you left off, get right back onto what you want to do, and focus on what you want. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a look here. So with the, So we do have questions about the coaching. Questions about the coaching. Email coaching does help. Our email coaching is just like our video coaching. Yes, you write your story. In fact, we've got questions that we ask, so we hopefully get all of your story. And then, yeah, we actually give you techniques, and it's just like talking in person, but we just do it via email. Okay. So yeah, we want to know your whole story with email coaching, just like we would with video coaching. So we recommend email coaching is if you're really good at telling your story, but if you're not so good at knowing what you need to tell us, then video coaching is probably the way to go, because that way we can question more in real time, right? So, but a lot of people get a lot of good results from the coaching. Like, we have a coaching program that we actually do. So let's take a look here. So Stephanie Ann's question, and let's take a look. It's at yeah, so it's about, her question is really about a strong mental diet. And again, the strong mental diet is shifting the story enough in enough ways that basically you feel good and like it's going to happen. Okay. So that's where we really want to go with this. Sorry, hold on. That's really where we want to go with this is we want to focus on the hold on what we want to go with, okay, for a strong mental diet is we want to take a look at every aspect. So what do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? And you want to make all of your intentions from the end. So if I already had what I want, what would my thoughts be? What would my story be? So how would you explain it? Script out how it all went as you're writing it. Like, so basically you're writing it right now, okay, but you're going to write it in fashion of, okay, this is what happened last week. Okay, so and so called me, they said this, they did that. The other things that we can do to actually request an apology, because hers is about a strong mental diet on how to request an apology. So some people, I remember reading Neville, he says, somebody used the technique of writing yourself, an apology from the person and reading it. So that's also a really good way to go about it as well. So script out whatever the scenario you want to happen. So you write it like as in already has happened. You can script yourself and write out the apology letter as it came from the person. I've heard of people, basically another technique, they would put their phone number with the name of the person they want to get a text from, and then they would text themselves, but it would it would read the other person's name and what they wanted to say. So there's so many different techniques to help. But I mean, basically a strong mental diet is staying on top of your thoughts, and staying on top of your thoughts enough to shift how you feel about the situation. Okay. So with a strong mental diet, you want to feel neutral and natural about it. Okay. So those are some general hour and 1 hour for this question. For SK's question, I would like to understand mental diets better. Excellent. Okay, so is a mental diet supposed to be done all day? Yes. Like during every moment that you're awake? Absolutely. Does it only consist about thinking about what we want, or thinking about what we already have or what we want? Or saying intentions, affirmation, or is there something else to think about? Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so I get up this morning and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, today it's going to suck. No, today's going to be a great day, And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's say for instance, I want to, talk with, Gerry tonight, right? And I think, oh, you know what? Gerry's probably not going to call me. No, Gerry's totally going to call me and have a great conversation. Okay, or oh, I'm going to be really busy all day today. No, I'm going to have plenty of time for everything I want. So all it is about just thinking and focusing on what you want, right? You know what I mean? Let's say you're going to apply for something like a job. You would, you just want to listen to yourself and make sure that your thoughts are focused on what you want. And yeah, it's done all throughout the day. I mean, if you're having positive thoughts, I mean, you're basically, you're doing it right, as long as you're focused on what you want. It could be affirmations, it could be intentions, it could just be, plain old positive thinking about the situation, So, and it's done all throughout the day because you're always thinking. So every question, like every thought that you have, the question is, are you investing that in your future or are you spending it? Okay. So spending a thought would be something like having a thought that you don't want, like, oh, today's going to be a terrible day. Okay. So that thought is not investing in anything that I want. It's spending. So instead I would, no, today's going to be a great day because my thought's great. Okay. So it's just about refocusing yourself on what you actually want throughout the day and just catching it when you have negative thoughts. Okay. Our reality is a projection of our subconscious minds. Yes, they are. So, the purpose of a mental diet is to basically create impressions on our subconscious mind, which then project to change into our reality. Yes, that is correct. Is it that simple? Yes, it is that simple. So, why does it take longer for some things to manifest? Because you probably got a story about it. Okay. I try I find myself daily, I'm saying daily intentions and affirmations to the point of getting a headache. Is this trying too hard? Yeah, we're probably trying too hard. But the thing is, right, is, it's better to catch the other thoughts. Like you've obviously got other thoughts or story, like you can do intentions all day long. And then if you like basically say in your head, oh, none of this works, great, you've just blocked them all. So you really want to get on top of all of your self talk. I mean, why are you saying so many daily affirmations to give yourself a headache? It's not meant to be hard and difficult like that. It's meant to be nice, fun, light flowing. You're thinking anyway. You've got a choice. You can think about what you want and things going in your favor, or you can think about them not going in your favor. We're not saying do anything extra than you already do. Okay. We're just saying, focus on what you want, because basically every thought that you have is a command to the universe. So, you want to make sure that yeah, let's take a look here. Hold on here. Okay, so okay, so 1 hour and 4 minutes. 1 hour and 4 minutes. Okay, so right. His question is, since everyone is me pushed out, whenever I make a positive intention about our relationship and marriage, does she hear that instantly, or is there a lag time between the time you say a positive intention and the time her behavior shifts? Well, I mean, a nanosecond at the very least. So, no, I mean, people pretty much change immediately. I remember one day I was sitting in here and I was looking at basically stations, and because I'm a video gamer, if you guys don't know that already, I like to play video games. Anyways, I was sitting here and I was like, oh, I'm like, which is the latest PlayStation? Is it 4? Is there another one? Is there a 5? And all of a sudden, not kidding you, out of the blue, didn't even ask anything, didn't say anything. All of a sudden, Andrew says, I think PS5's the latest. Like, he totally heard my thought, you know? I mean, I'll be walking with him. We go for our daily walks, right? And, we'll be walking and I'll just be thinking, oh, I mean, what should we have for dinner? And then all of a sudden, what, out of the blue, he's like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, oh my God, right? Like great minds think alike, So everything is actually instant. Okay. If her behavior isn't shifting, that's because there may be stories blocking it or partial stories blocking it. Okay. So you've got to take a look, root through all those stories, and that will end up changing. So, yeah. So that's how that works. Let's take a look here. So at 1 hour and 6 minutes. So next question at 1 hour and 6 minutes. 1 hour and 6 minutes. So I got one guy that constantly chases me and I'm not interested, but he still does. I was very active in our relationship and I want to know if it's possible to switch roles. Yeah, absolutely. You can, I mean, it's possible. Okay. It's possible to make anybody do anything that you think is possible. If you think it's possible for her to chase you, then it's possible. Okay. So the other thing is here, so basically, she can I just live in the perfect relationship in my head? and, you know, being passive in the outside. Well, that's where you want to live in, is in your head. Okay. So you want to make everything she does mean she's chasing you, right? Even if she just tells you she had toast for dinner, even if she just post. If you start assuming that she's chasing you, then she's going to start chasing you. Okay. So you have to live in your head that she's chasing you before it's going to show up in your reality. So everything has to be created in your mind, and whatever's in your mind will reflect out to your reality. Okay. So yeah, it's possible for her to chase you. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, you've got to change the story that she does want to chase you. Okay. So again, guys, you know, if you just joined us, we are answering questions off the Patreon group, general law of attraction questions that we answer here. We don't give any advice or intentions or find your blocks. If that's coaching, sign up for coaching, because we will give you an action plan for your specific situation as well as techniques. And we will identify your blocks for you, which will actually really speed everything up for you, right? So just take a look here. So we've got the next question is, I got this 25 and it's at an hour 8. So 1 hour and 8 minutes. Every day is Wednesday. Is it Wednesday today? Every day is Wednesday. That's crazy. I have a general question regarding everyone as you pushed out. Love it. Is yeah, it is law of attraction. So I see posts all over Reddit implying that it's not law of attraction, which I don't understand, since how can't it be, since we create everything in our reality? Okay. So basically, what it is everyone as you pushed out is law of attraction. Okay. We create. Okay. So what we actually end up creating in our reality is everyone is you pushed out. Everything's a creation for you, you know. So we can manifest a cup of coffee, that's law of attraction, but we can't manifest someone to love us. Like, but hold on, you know what though, manifesting that cup of coffee, it took everyone as you pushed out, because you said, I intend to manifest a cup of coffee. Guess what? Somebody actually had to go and think, oh, I should get her a coffee. The coffee. So every single manifestation involves everyone as you pushed out. In fact, you don't even need to know the concept of everyone as you pushed out. You're constantly doing it, just like the law of attraction. Okay. So everything in this world takes everyone as you pushed out in your manifestation. Okay. Even if it is that a robot, okay, like you go and you like get a free Coke out of the vending machine, you intend that 2 fall out when you buy 1. Okay, that's still everyone as you pushed out, because somebody had to make the machine get glitched. Right? Everything is everyone as you pushed out. Okay. Everything out there for a manifestation, except for your thoughts, your own personal thoughts, somebody getting involved in it to get you something. Okay. So yeah, you've been constantly manipulating your entire, I wouldn't even say manipulating, that's probably the wrong word, because manipulating is saying that, you know, you're getting to do somebody to do something for you that they don't want to, which that's not the case. Everybody in your reality wants to help you. Everybody in your reality wants you to be successful. Everybody in your reality wants you to be happy. That person, Gerry, wants to be with you because they love you and want to be with you because you're good enough. So, you know, it's always been, whether you believe it or not, right? So, you know, I mean, yeah, lovely Reddit. I do like Reddit, but I mean, you know, it is law of attraction. How can it not be? Okay, so they're saying that, you know, you can attract a basically a free coffee, but you know that coffee got to you without actually influencing somebody's thoughts. I don't know about that. So that would be, you know, my argument for that. But yeah, anyway. You know, I would say probably intending that, you know, everybody in your reality is, you know, on board and they understand how it works, right? So 1 hour and 12 minutes. So 1 hour and 12 minutes. We've got another question. So we've got, I think it's Margot's question. I think that's how you say it. Okay. So, hi, Amanda. Can we use the law of attraction to lose weight? Some people on YouTube say yes, but if we do sports and diet, what's the point of law of attraction then? Thank you. Okay. So this is a really good question. So first of all, you can intend that you lose weight and do absolutely nothing different. Okay. because you create your reality. You create your physical reality. Now, if you intend and you say, look, you know what, I do have to change my diet and I do have to exercise, well, then you're creating that you have to do that to lose weight. Okay. So them saying that they need to do sports and diet to lose weight is their limiting belief. Okay. It's only a limiting belief if you want to lose weight without changing anything. Okay. If you want to lose weight without actually changing anything in your life, then great. Now, if you've got the belief that, look, at, you know what, I can't eat chocolate cake every day and cheesecake and sit on the couch and lose weight. Well, then either you create that you don't have to and you'll still lose weight and bust through that belief of yours, or you work within the belief that you already have. Okay. So those people saying, so, but the other hand of it, okay, I remember talking to this weight loss coach and I had met her and we were talking about law of attraction. And I remember saying that, you know what, she was basically doing this diet. She was at this weight loss clinic. She was doing this diet and she was exercise, but she wasn't losing weight. But that was because she was having all this negative talk. This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And no kidding, she went to talk to one of the weight loss coaches, and all of she turned around and said to the weight loss coach, said to her, look at, because you think it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So all she did was change her self-talk to no, this works, this works, this works. And no kidding, she did not change her diet. She did not change any of the exercise that she was doing. And all of a sudden the weight just fell off. Okay. So you can still do diet and exercise and not lose weight if you have that thought. Okay. So, you know, it's still, you know, it is still manifesting. If you say, look, at, you know what, I'm going to walk 20 minutes a day and I'm going to lose a bunch of weight, you're going to lose weight. But you can still say, I'm going to walk 20 minutes a day and I'm not going to lose weight. And guess what? You're not going to lose weight. Okay. So, you know, you still manifest. Okay. Even though you say, look, at I can have this but do nothing for it, then you're going to do that and have nothing for it. Okay. I mean, I've lost weight, gained it, lost it. Every time I've lost weight, I've just focused on losing weight. I actually haven't changed anything. In fact, I've eaten probably, you know, worse than when I gained the weight. Because, you know, it's just the mental self-talk, right? So, you know, that's what we want to be on top of. Okay. So we've got 1 hour, 15 minutes for 1 hour and 15 minutes. We've got, let's take a look here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the question is here, to be honest. So, Jam, you've asked a question. You're looking for clarity if you're doing this right. Um, you know, we need to sit down and have a conversation for me to, for anybody to explain whether you're doing this right or not. So, I mean, how would you remain in the state is, you know, you want to remain in the feeling and the knowing that you can create whatever you want. And I would more strive for staying in the God state and that state of knowing that than anything else. You know, so yeah. So now, I mean, emotions are a bad thing to experience, right? Um, so I'll just answer this as best I can here, but I mean, I don't think 1 hour and 16 minutes. So what we're, you know, we can okay, so emotions aren't bad, but you know, remember guys that your thoughts create your emotions. Okay, so really, I mean, let's take a look at it this way. Okay, if I'm going to sit here and say, well, you know what, that's it, Gerry's ignoring me, he's rejecting me, that's going to make me feel upset really really quickly, right? But if I just say, look, at no, Gerry's had a bad day and he's just like, you know what, he just needs some time to himself and he'll call me tomorrow, that doesn't make me feel bad anymore. So we create our emotions by our thoughts. So, you know, technically, I mean, you choose to feel something, you know, if you want to feel rejected by somebody, you're creating it because their behavior can be, you know, interpreted in many different ways. And if you're going to interpret their behavior to create a thought that's going to cause you to have a negative emotion, then that's your choice, right? You get to choose how you get to react and how you get to feel about things in your situation. So what I always do is give people the benefit of the doubt. I mean, you know, why go all the way down the deep end of, you know, that's it, the person's rejecting me, never wants to talk to me again because they haven't called me back. You know, like why not just go, well, you know what, maybe they've had a bad day, maybe they'll call me later. You know, like right now, let's say, for instance, Gerry doesn't want to get married. Oh, what's wrong with me? Is he using me? You know, is he going to reject me? Well, no, Gerry does want to marry me. He's just not ready yet. I intend for Gerry to be ready to get married. So always basically is to avoid taking things personally. Okay. And so, and basically always remain in the state that your entire life is amazing and what you get is amazing and that you have an amazing relationship with the person, right? And if you never view their behavior as doing something, you know, like rejecting you, then they're never going to be able to reject you. Okay. So, you know, the thing is, right, is, you know, if you create how you interpret people's actions and how you decide to feel about those actions. Nobody can make you mad. Nobody can annoy you. Nobody can reject you. You're the only one that can create that in your reality. So if you don't want those things to happen, never interpret someone's behavior as that. Okay. So yes, guys, those are the questions. If you guys want to join our live chats, then definitely, you know, check out the Patreon. I put the link in the actual in the chat there. So yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, awesome. So yes, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. You guys are all amazing. I intend that everybody is able to find something from this to create something wonderful in their lives. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.